Okay, let's go. For the past few weeks, many different competitors have seen many different strides. It's been a campaign of memories when it comes to Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series. It was just a few weeks ago where questions were in doubt on whether J.R. Shepherd can close up the gap after missing the first race of the campaign to get back to the points lead. Since then, he's won 5 races. However, after a struggle fest last week, it's now turned into a 3-horse race, mathematically. Kenny Kibbe has been the points leader much of the campaign after returning to the Grand National Series after taking a break from the premier Saturday night competition slate on the calendar. He leads over Justin Morton, who's having his stellar campaign continue. He's the highest person without a victory so far. He looks to change that tonight. James Lowe, meanwhile, is one of the other drivers who has won in series history, and one of the winningest drivers outside J.R. Shepherd. He too has won 2 times this year and has a chance to try and win a title. But with 3 races to go, it becomes the biggest question: who can break through? Who can take hold of the championship? And will it stay close to the bitter end? We're about to find out on the Global Sim Racing channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual New Smyrna Speedway for the 9th race of the 2020 Season 4 campaign. It is the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series, presented by The Cruise Shop and Motorsports Drop. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Devin Henry. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Today's racing action takes us to the Sunshine State in terms of Florida specifically. These drivers in contention for tonight are ready to try and take part. It's expected to be a competitive one at one of Florida's premier short tracks. Let's take a look at our GSRC track guide to learn more.
Welcome to New Smyrna. Located just a few miles down the road on I-95 to its more celebrated neighbor, the Daytona International Speedway, New Smyrna is a hotbed of short track activity. During Daytona Speed Weeks, New Smyrna is the place to be, with races every night during Speed Weeks that bring out some of the biggest names in all of auto racing. New Smyrna is a fixture of the oval career path, so chances are you've had several races here. Whether it be a late model, the wheel-in modified, the street stock, the list is endless. Famous NASCAR drivers started their career here, and the track has proven to be an increasingly popular test venue among NASCAR's teams. 20 degrees of banking in the corner awaits our drivers today, with 7 degrees on the front stretch. High banks, high speed, high excitement is the name of the game here at New Smyrna. Having to put together a lap here is extremely tricky, as you have to be on top of your game, not hit the wall, and manage that transition from the corners to the straightaways. Adding to the challenge of all of that, New Smyrna is a very narrow track. Pinpoint precision is an absolute must. All in all, it's widely agreed that New Smyrna is a legendary Florida short track, and you're going to see why today. Big time action, short tempers, and a shorter track. New Smyrna has it all. Enjoy today's broadcast.
One of these types of tracks where history usually can be made in this series. It's also one that's seen a lot of entertaining races, to say the very least, in the past.
And this is where the intensity is going to rise at a track like this. I mean, it's almost comfortable. These drivers out here in practice actually comfortable. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know if this is a good omen or a bad omen, actually. But they're keeping it clean for the most part. If you take a look at the track specs here at New Smyrna, this track opened originally as a dirt track, very quickly was converted to pavement actually. but of course is a favorite, especially around Daytona 500 time when they have over a week of phenomenal short track racing. And just like that, after over a week concludes that final race, okay, everyone's got that intensity going, everyone's pumped up. Well, tonight, for those top 3 championship competitors, the intensity will be running high tonight at a track that I think all 3 believe they can win at.
Absolutely, and they've all been competitive here in the past in various different series in 2020 here in the BRLs and National Series, as well as throwing the Saturday night slate. Should be an interesting one to say the very least. Before we take a look at your point standings, remind you of the title sponsors for the BRL's Grand National Series. The Cruise Shop is a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. The Cruise Shop specializes in cruises, exclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney, family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. The opportunity to help you plan your next dream vacation. Call them today at 260-755-6125 or visit them online at thecruiseshopfw.com. This series is also brought to you by Motorsports Drop. Struggling to keep track of what's happening on all the biggest racing series each week? Motorsports Drop is for you. Catch up with last week's big winners, the biggest races on this weekend's calendar, or the biggest stories in the world of racing with quick news bites on Mondays and Fridays. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, and more. Search Motorsports Drop to find them, or find their full list of providers at linktr.ee/motorsportsdrop. As talked about moments ago, the championship scrap when it comes to our competitors has been one of entertainment and excitement, to say the very least, in 2020 Season 4. It's not been your typical campaign with no drop weeks and J.R. Shepherd missing one race. It's not been an easy hill to climb. He was currently at the pace to catch up to the points lead for the finale until last week at Martinsville happened. As a result, Kenny Kibbe leads by 8 points over Justin Morden. He has 1 victory in the campaign. Morden looking for his first tonight. James Lowe comes into this evening with 2 victories, 14 points back. Then it gets interesting. J.R. Shepherd needs a lot of luck to be able to close in for the final 2 races in a realistic manner mathematically, with especially some of his competitors among the top drivers in practice tonight. We'll get to that in a moment. He's 29 points back. Todd Liston, 63 points back, rounds out the top 5. He and Bruce Pearson and Jeffrey Harden are all fighting for that final spot in the top 5. Let's take a look now at your race details on that note, Devin, as we get ready to go racing once again, this time under the lights from Florida.
Yeah, this will be a fun one, and we are in physical world time, if you will. That means that the clock is actually running, so the track temperature will actually decrease as the race goes on. But this is round number 9 of the season. We're coming down to the wire. A 100-lap race is how we run every single race. But the big point to remember here is avoid wrecks like down the front straightaway. But also, there are no tire changes allowed. The tires that you start with are the tires that you have to end with 100 laps later, and you only get a single fast repair if anything goes wrong at a short track, which it typically does. And also, no qualifying. The top 8 gets inverted from last week's race. Everyone else starts this race where they finished last week. And that adds a nice little niche because, hey, fastest drivers, they're coming from mid-pack.
It's going to make things very interesting, to say the very least. A couple storylines on that mark as well. But I'd like to remind you that live jumping and scoring available for today, it can be found at GSRC.tv to keep up with your favorite teams and drivers throughout the night. That's GSRC.tv for your favorite teams and drivers. Practice is currently underway with a very hot racetrack. It's May 9th, 2020 in Sim Day. And it's Austin Belke, of all people, who is leading practice at the moment, Devin. A 17.8 at the top of the board with this very hot track. That is about a 10th quicker nearly than James Lowe, J.R. Shepherd, Justin Morden, Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, don't you love to be that guy who jumps all 4 of the top 4 drivers in the series, running that old school Jeff Gordon DuPont flame throwback? Man, Kenny Kibbe, not always a guy up there fighting for the wins, but every now and again he has some really fun, shining moments. And hey, maybe tonight is one of those nights.
He's been competitive in tracks such as this, if you remember back to Season 3 of 2020. So there is a chance he was a top 5 car here for much of the last time the series was here. But that's also going to make that interesting wrinkle of how tight it could be for the rest of the field, especially with Lowe, Shepherd, Morden, Kibbe, all about within a tenth of each other in personal bests around this track. The separation about 0.6 of a second from the top to the bottom of the board.
And you just named 5 there. I'll throw another one in. How about Donnie Moore? We talk about him a bit here and there. He's typically pretty consistent. Has had an up and down year this year. But earlier today, Justin, as we mentioned every week, this is the 3rd race of the night for this league, if you will. They ran street stocks earlier, the SK Modifieds, and now the main show, the A-main, if you will, almost, the Grand National Series. Donnie Moore won the street stock race here earlier tonight, so we'll see if he can take any of that fender racing as opposed to the open wheel modifieds and apply that to the Grand National Series and try to get him another top 5.
Going to be intriguing, especially since, keep in mind, the modified race was pretty wild. There were several big ones in that respective race. Was keep an eye on that, where at least 3 competitors flipped over. J.R. Shepherd was sent up into the sky, and several others had some trouble, to say the very least. In other words, it can be an attrition-filled racetrack tonight we're about to see here.
It was a fun one. And you mentioned J.R. Shepherd flying through the air, and then he eventually takes the checkered flag as well. So, I mean, you can come back from that. I don't know how many people that applies to outside of J.R. Shepherd, but nonetheless, right now we actually have 19 cars entered into the race. If you get stuck in the back, that's going to be quite a trek to get back to the front.
It's not going to be easy, to say the very least. And keep in mind, how these drivers line up is going to be so critical. Among the drivers who have run part-time calendars or in tonight's race, Steven Spies, who will have to start towards the back, Chris Wolfson, Adam Gebel, a couple others scattered amongst those respective competitors. Many of your regulars here once more. 15 seconds towards your starting grid. Kevin, your quick thoughts before we get rolling.
Well, right now, I'm actually surprised. They're staying pretty clean for the most part in practice. We typically see a trouble issue on the track that everyone's fighting, but it all kind of seems pretty scattered right now. So I think that if you have a long green flag run, you just got to be patient. And if anyone this year has mastered patience, it's James Lowe. So that orange number 99 might be the car that you have to watch out for tonight. It might be the car to beat, you know, besides J.R. Shepherd.
Time is run out for practice. It is now time for race time. Let's take a look at your starting grid for tonight's race for the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series. It just so happens to be Austin Belke who will start on the pole today after getting the inversion spot from last week's race, while Donnie Moore will start on the outside of the front row in the ASPCA and Stone River Outfitters machine. Ruben Alti starts in row 2 on the inside with Bruce Pearson rolling in and looking towards the American Pitbull Foundation along with the Mission 22 machine tonight. Brian Dean starts in 5th tonight. He was very competitive last week. He's once again the Ward Burden throwback in the MBNA America machine, with Justin Morton's Total Downforce machine in 6th. J.R. Shepherd and Kevin Kibbe round out your inversion spots, all 8 drivers in attendance tonight. First driver outside the inversion positions is Todd Liston in P9 in the Max Best machine, while Lowell Jewell rounds out your top 10.
James Lowe in the number 99 will start off your next group of cars, the second half of the field. Kurt Smith will start in 12th. Mike Allen inside of row 7 in 13th. Steven Speeds will start off in 14th. Joe Segala in the black and green number 81 starts off 15th. Jeffrey Harden in 16th. Mike Holloway with a fresh Sunoco paint scheme starts in 17th. Adam Gebel will start in 18th. And then rounding out your field tonight is none other than the principal, Chris Wolfson, your 19-car field here at New Smyrna Speedway.
One pace lap before we get rolling, and I think Donnie Moore left the entire field for some reason, to the point where he's driving into the pit lane. So he is giving himself a black flag for passing the pace car. He's electing to start at the back, it appears, tonight. He did not get too much practice for this evening. 18.3 was his best time. That was the worst on the board.
And I think that was his only lap, or he might have ran 2. So he got here late. Maybe he was spending too long celebrating that street stock win, but now he has quite the battle in front of him, as he will have to pass 18 race cars to get to the front.
At least, at the very least, will be in the pit lane. But the question is, who will find their way in victory lane tonight? It's Austin Belke, Donnie Moore, Ruben Altis, Bruce Pearson, your top 4. Pace car is off. Green flags out. We're underway from Florida. And a clean start for the most part, but Kenny Kibbe knocked out of the groove. He is 3 wide in the midst of traffic, back 2 wide.
The Hornet's Nest is getting rowdy here early on, and J.R. Shepard in the midst of that in the black number 98. Now trying to chase Kenny Kibbe as they get out of that just pile of humanity, and they're still nearly stacking up through 3 and 4 as well. It's getting a little dicey back there.
Kibbe still gained 3 positions and all of that, but it wasn't an easy 3 positions. As you can see in that Hornet's Nest, that Shepard, along with Belke and several other competitors, or Dean I should rather say, in that grouping. Kurt Smith on the outside able to make the pass. This is all what the top 4 single file, Devin.
And a quick note there on that initial start, you actually saw the 3rd place driver not take over Donnie Moore's position for the start. I've actually only seen this in the Dirt Street Stock Series. When a driver forfeits their position, it's actually kind of played that there is an actual driver there, even though there's no physical car there. So the driver in 3rd still had to actually start in 3rd place there. So that's part of the reason why you saw Austin Belke run away here at the start and jump from the field. Only a 2/10 gap, though, over Bruce Pearson, who also has a slick new paint scheme.
Yes, indeed. In fact, he's currently scrapping for the lead up 2 positions at the start, as mentioned, in representing, rather, the American Pitbull Foundation today. A bit of trouble with the back of the field. Tom Liston was shuffled out of the groove. Take a look from Pearson. See, just trying to close in, and the main thing for him has been long run pace in this series. He's running 18.6s at the moment.
And this is something where we've seen for a very long time here in BRL, is drivers gain out front and then getting too far away, using up too much of that right front tire, and it all fades away and they end up falling to the back. Right now, Austin Belke is putting on a very strong pace, but not running away from everyone and wearing out that right front tire. Pearson is doing the same right now, trying to conserve that tire best that they can. We'll just have to see how long they can last, because Kenny Kibbe, Justin Morton, J.R. Shepard, they're just right behind the top 3.
Kibbe +4 already. Steven Spies also already +4 up to 10th spot. +3 for Jeffrey Harden. He does have a bit of back end damage, however, from that contact mentioned with Todd Liston. What else? About 2 positions or more. Speaking of Spies, he's now up 5 positions and is now the lead car in the 2nd pack. Here he is right there, bring James Lowe with him.
Yeah, a little bit of issues there with James Lowe. He has just gained 1 spot on the race now with that pass. He had issues at the end of last week's race. That made him start this deep in the field. He's only up +1 right now, and this is someone fighting for the championship, Justin. This is not where you want to be stuck 10 laps into the race.
Especially after the nightmare that was the paper clip last week. Battle for 3rd is on. Kenny Kibbe now trying to make the outside work. And from what we're seeing, if he gets to somebody's outside, you'll likely be able to make the pass. It's not like some tracks where the top line's the defensive line. The bottom, it seems, if you get pitched down, you're going backwards early.
And I've been waiting to see this. I've been very curious to see at a track like New Smyrna, who's going to make that outside lane work. And right now, it's the 3 fastest cars on the track making it work. Kenny Kibbe in the black and orange 14, Justin Morton right behind him, and J.R. Shepard in the Crew Shop 98. All trying to advance in that outside lane. And Kenny Kibbe pioneering that here to open up this race. He's been one of the best drivers to go out and find a new line on a short track.
And the consensus, keep in mind, when it comes to Kibbe, and so has been, and this is with multiple different organizations and multiple different broadcast groups and contingencies, Kibbe is a well-respected short-track racer for a reason. Steven Spies, meanwhile, is in trouble down the backstretch for a first caution of the night, coming on lap 15.
Boy, we saw Steven Spies just have a great beginning to his season. He joined out of the Dirt Street Stock Series last year, midway through this season, and he's just had troubles this season. It's just a little jewel there, gets into the wall, and there's nothing that Spies can do. He just has to hang on tight. We'll take an onboard look here from Spies' car, and this just happens too fast. There's nothing he can do here.
Just a ricochet, essentially. Once someone taps into that wall and bounces into you, unfortunately, most of the time, the car getting hit down to the inside wall is the one that gets the worst of it.
And iRacing walls only have 2 modes, repel or intake. Either you're bouncing maniacally off the wall or you're getting sucked into the wall. There's no in between, it seems like, on iRacing sometimes.
Two faster pairs taken. Todd Liston, Steven Spies both coming down. Liston with a bit of lengthier service, it appears, at the very least. So, or should I rather say just the one faster pair for Spies, but Liston taking damage repair. So a couple drivers already having some damage to their cars. So early on, it's Belke in the lead, Pearson, Kibbe, Morton, Shepard, Altice, your top six. Overall, it's going to be interesting how these drivers react over the next couple weeks to the new build coming up next week.
Absolutely, and this has changed everything for BRL. Next season, Friday nights, we already have the Dirt Street Stock Series on GSRC, and they've been running sprint cars and late models. They're actually getting rid of both of those cars, and they're going with the midgets and the brand spanking new big block modifieds on Friday night. So yeah, a lot of changes here in BRL coming up here in iRacing Season 4.
And keep in mind, those are two very different cars, to say the very least, to try and handle, especially with the big block modified that has been very well demanded for a reason and was kind of hinted towards when Weed Sport came to play.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a classic big block modified track back east, and we got to see, oh, it's actually going to happen here on iRacing. And there are guys like, unfortunately not here tonight, Bobby Rafferty, who has a little bit of experience with those kinds of cars back east. And so he's very, very excited to get that on dirt here in BRL. But like you mentioned, Justin, I mean, the transition from a midget to a dirt street stock to a big block modified, those are three very different cars, much like they do here on Saturday night, going from the street stock to the modified to here the ARCA Grand National car.
I go signal this time by. And I'm curious, especially what tweaks may come into play, etc. With so much new content coming in next week, especially with Long Beach in its completion, and that Delora IR01 that is such the craze right now. For Austin Belke, he crazes and craves a victory. He's on the way, a good launch. Where's Pearson? Not able to hang on to the outside as Kibbe already battling for second hard.
Kibbe wants P2 to the inside of Bruce Pearson here going into 3 and 4. Kibbe making his way up fast. He made that earlier pass to get into third on the outside, now trying to push his luck on the inside here. And right now, Morton and Shepard door-to-door directly behind them.
Oh, Belke parking the bus, starting to get a little bit tight. Here comes Kibbe, side by side with two cars on his outside. Now battling for the race lead, he looks to try and get the bottom to work as he nearly doors the 24.
Oh, Kibbe's licking his chops right now. If you saw Belke have to move up the track and cannot contain the inside there. Kibbe thought he had a chance, but a great job by the Michigander. Austin Belke holds him off and is able to reclaim the bottom. And here comes Bruce Pearson. He wants P2 back.
Pearson not able to get to the inside. They'll force the check up that held up Shepard and Morton, who are both trying to find a way around these cars. Kibbe is now trying to get the top line to work again. Good run off the banking. Here he goes as he's forced to check up. He wants to get to the quarter panel and peel him off the wall. Same is going on, it looks like, for Shepard and Morton to try something.
Top five are scrambling. Even Ruben Altice and Brian Dean directly behind these guys are in a great battle. Pearson misses the corner. Shepard easily will overtake and move into the podium position. And now Justin Morton looking to follow suit to the inside, looking for P4 in that white and red number 9.
New race leader, Kenny Kibbe, let go by Austin Belke. He backed off in 3 and 4. And now the points leader looks to run away. Belke way up the groove. His tires starting to melt a quarter way through this race as Shepard takes away second.
Now comes on the hunt. Kenny Kibbe, your points leader. He's been for a few weeks now, but finally earned his first Grand National Series win just last week to become the 4th different driver in all of series history to win a BRL race. The caution comes out.
Adam Gelbel involved in this one. Several others, Todd Liston, Mike Allen in the vicinity as well with the 91 machine. So under yellow for the second time.
Good to see Adam Gebel, back here racing with us. Unfortunately, this is not what he was hoping to see here in his first race back in a while. Take a look at the 91 here going into turn number 1, the black number 91. Gets a little bit of help.
If I remember correctly, Allen did not have a good time here the last time either. Gebel that time getting the bump. Liston having to check up at all the aftermath. So it restacks up the field and makes things even more intriguing now that Shepard and Kibby have passed by Belkey, but also puts a lot more urgency possibly on Morden to get by. And don't forget, James Lowe is still an 8th.
Yeah, this has not been a great showing for James Lowe these past 2 weeks, mostly just due to dumb luck. I mean, you go back to last season, James Lowe is the second winningest driver in the series. He knows how to get to victory lane. Last season just was not his season. And he came out this year with consistency and patience, and it all worked out well. But these last 2 races just cannot seem to get a break.
Yeah, that was kind of his storyline for season 3, so to speak, or where he couldn't buy any luck. He was good in speed, then he got involved in several incidents. It took him the whole season to get his confidence, it seemed, back from the outside looking in, or at least his rhythm back, rather.
Yeah, and it ended up working. I mean, he performed so well. He looked like the James Lowe of old when he returned here for season 4, and he was going out contending for wins. And so the last thing that he wants to end this season like is last season and having to come over a hump again. So he's got a couple races to figure it out, and hey, you know, he's P8 right now. Either he has more bad luck and he ends up on the front row next week, or he can try to fight through the field. I mean, there's still plenty of laps left here. 70 laps to go when we go green.
Expecting a one-go signal this time as Liston and Allen are currently getting manual damage repairs done. They are banking their fast repairs. The only fast repair used has been by Speeds. Your biggest mover overall is now Mike Holloway. So now if you're Shepard, essentially kind of what's the focus like? Because again, he kind of needs not only to win out to get some good points possibly, he needs basically everyone else in the Championship 3 grouping right now to essentially have a bunch of bad luck right this second.
And he's mentioned that. He's just going, you know, I need someone to have some bad luck. There's no drop weeks this season for the first time in BRL. For the Grand National Series, and he already knew he was going to miss a race. So he's been fighting from behind the entire season. This restart right here goes down to, can you get a good of a jump as Kenny Kibbe? We know Shepard can pass on the outside.
Trying to get a little bit of banking up as Kibbe gets ready for the launch in the restart zone. Green flag is up, back on her way. Shepard keeps it side by side just about into turn 1. Sends it hard to try and keep it there, nearly snapped it.
Then pushes up the track. He's going to have to try to regain some ground here as moving away from the field. Kenny Kibbe looking for win number 2 in his Grand National career. Shepard now moving to the inside lane. It's catching back up a little bit here, but the top 3 now moving away from the pack.
Currently the top 4 now a broken out single file. 3 wide, James Lowe battling with several others. Kurt Smith crashing to the inside wall. Collects the boss man, Lowell Joel. Caution is out for the 3rd time.
Well, that one got a little bit interesting there coming down the back straightaway. 3 wide is never good, but this actually happens behind the cars that are 3 wide here. So you see the ball's out racing number 99, that orange machine there. He's going to go 3 wide here. Something that you don't typically like to do at a short track, but he sees the hole, goes for it, checks up. Kurt Smith nowhere to go. And for the second time tonight, Lowell Jewell is just a black and white number 19 car in a bad situation and ends up hurting another driver's night. And again, that's just something where Lowell Jewell's been in 2 incidents tonight that really aren't even his fault.
Kurt Smith, he's probably going to have to take a fast repair because, well, he's getting sparks to his driver's face right now because the whole front nose is dragging. For Lowell Jewell, he has taken a fast repair.
And that bumper dragging, I mean, I love having to back. Classic Devin Henry move right there, overshooting the pit box. But no, this new damage model, Justin, while I love it and it looks phenomenal, on the ARCA cars, when the front bumper drags, is the most excruciating time of your life trying to get around a track when the bumper is dragging. It's just like, oh, I love the damage model, but can you just leave my bumper on the car, please?
You can have it fall off and hit somebody else instead.
I mean, I'd rather that, man. It's hard to drive that thing when the bumper's dragging sometimes, or sometimes the wheel will simulate that it's over the bumper and you're trying to turn or you're trying to go, and it's just like, this doesn't work.
Anyhow, So far, 64 to go. Kibbe in control of the field, and you talked about Shepard. If he can get to the outside, would likely try and push the issue. He tried just about exactly that.
And he had a chance there. He was on the right rear quarter panel, but just kind of missed the corner there. But the best thing about a restart and the mind of J.R. Shepard is, okay, I missed last time. I know what I did wrong. So now I'm intrigued to see, Kenny Kibbe's got to mix up this restart, right? If he restarts the same way, Shepard's going to have the same opportunity that he did last time, but this time around, he's not going to make the same mistake twice. So Kibbe's got to mix up this restart here to keep Shepard on his toes.
Yeah, keep in mind, the real-life restart zone essentially is where those white lines are, from just before that pit entry mark all the way to that line that's right at the exit of turn 4. For the iRacing service, though, it is basically right when the pace car drops, which is the midway portion of that box, to the white line, so to speak. About to restart, 62 to go. It's Kibbe, Shepard, Morton, and Belke. Maltese, Pearson, low up to 7th, and Dean your top 8. Dean currently in the projected pole position, if it so sticks. Green flag waiting up at the stand. Pace car off. It's the OE launch off and away. No time for Shepard to react to the outside as he comes up and shuts it.
Gorgeous. That was perfect execution there from Kenny Kibbe. Shepard now having to claw his way back up. Does it quickly, dives to the inside in the 98 car. Gets the inside, gets a nose ahead. And just like that, new leader, J.R. Shepard, gets squirrely though off of 4. They continue to battle into 1 now.
He didn't get the lead lap. Now Justin Morton's joining the fun as well. Belke's already dropped 4 car lengths back. James Lowe is now up to 5th. Your championship contenders, 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the pylon as Kibbe now intentionally running the top line, it seems, to make sure he plays on the defensive and doesn't allow Shepard up there.
Well, Justin, you said 1, 2, 3, 5, and now James Lowe gunning for that 4th position next to Austin Belke. You see him too wide going into 3 now. Lowe had to check up there and slide back into line. These drivers still trying to go all out because that top 3, they are just running away from the field.
Yeah, Belke is not giving up. Here's a look from Justin Morton. Meanwhile, for the battle, still for the race lead. And keep in mind, one of the main keys for him all season has been preserving the right rear. He's done a decent job of that so far as he gets the run on Shepard, forced to check up.
Maybe still maintaining a little bit of a gap, enough of a gap, if you will. As long as you can keep J.R. Shepard behind you, which Kibbe did an excellent job being able to use that outside lane to have that momentum down the straightaway, pinch him down a little bit. Another caution, though, coming out now. And once again, Shepard saw what Kibbe did last time. I mean, Kenny Kibbe wants less, or excuse me, no caution out on the track, excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has just been interesting because, I mean, J.R. Shepard now, he's in hunt mode.
Yes, indeed. Approaching halfway is Mike Holloway in trouble. He's up against the outside wall in the Sunoco car. No caution. We stay green. Let's take a glance at what happened here, as this was nearly a yellow because he got snapped up hard into the fence with contact with Harden.
Ah, man, you hate to see the fresh paint get scratched on the first time out. Good looking car there for Holloway, but man, that's something that short track racing brings sometimes. If the guy on the inside just doesn't have everything contained, just takes one little mistake to ruin someone else's night.
So I had a similar look tonight in the modified race. Fortunate for him, he is now 18th as Belke and Lowe now scrap. Lowe now to the bottom of the racetrack for P4, still wants it. Belke trying to have the race of his season. Not gonna hold on quite yet, though, just about. Yes, indeed, Lowe finally clear. That's +7.
Yeah, so far so good for Austin Belke. He started on pole, fastest in practice. But with these 100-lap races where you cannot change your tires, it's all about tire conservation. And sometimes you have to give up speed at the beginning or the middle of the race, or sometimes you just don't do it well enough and you lose all that speed towards the end of the race. And sometimes you're someone like, you know, these 3 up here, and you just know how to do both so well.
Approaching 51 laps to go now. As Kibbe, Shepard, and Morton all scrapping. At this point, Do you try and just save the tires if you're second and third at this point, knowing Kibby's not going to make it easy no matter what, and make sure you have enough to make another lunge or two?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You have to wait for Kenny Kibbe to make a mistake, which these two drivers know that doesn't come around often. So just run your line. If something pops up, it will. See Shepard there gets squirrely off of 4, trying to make something work. And now Justin Morton trying to close the door and keep Shepard stuck in that inside lane, able to grab that right rear quarter panel. And Justin Morton taking over P2 now.
He might regret that. Shepard trying to keep the bottom, starting to lose the back end. More is Morton with the preferred line for this scrap. Shepard going up the banking as well, trying to get as much of as he can to try and keep this up. But Morton, just about clear, takes away second.
And I don't know if this is just the race pace being set by Kenny Kibbe, but really Justin Morton didn't lose any time there to the number 14 car in front of him. And now James Lowe has reeled in the rear bumper of the 98. I mean, these have been the 4 top tier drivers this season, and of course they're racing together this late in the race.
Right now the fall for running 9-10 says Morton kicks up the back end a little bit. So the fall off is already massive for these cars. Some of them have already fallen off a full second. Trouble, Jeffrey Harden. Caution is out, the 44.
I'm starting to think that no one wanted to see that. I know Kibbe definitely didn't want to see that, because this is where other drivers can try to find an edge here. Take a look back here on your GSRC replay machine. Harden here in the blue number 44, not quite clear. That could have been much more disastrous there, but obviously, yeah, Harden gets the worst of that. We'll take one more look at it here.
Yeah, this looks like it almost was building up for the full lap where Harden was wanting to pass Pearson. See off turn 4 where looks okay. Yep, Pearson actually was again away from the wall. You see how that wall kicks out and then back towards the start and finish line. He didn't go into the kick out.
And some people are like me. I don't know if this is how Harden does it or not, but I'm a poor man. I only have one monitor. And so sometimes you expect a car that you're next to be up against the wall or somewhere on your inside or whatever, and you just kind of expect that, and then when they're actually not quite as high as you thought they were, you got to kind of take evasive action there. And you saw that was just a minor tap there. It's not like they were banging doors or anything there, but just something so minuscule like that can send you spinning around.
Yeah, that's a tough break once again for Harden. Used the faster pair under that caution. Mike Holloway was also able to come in and get his faster pair used. Mike Allen still is banking his at the moment as well. Track as well as Todd Liston. Under 50 laps to go. And now it becomes the bigger question again now. How does Morton attack Kenny Kibbe? And I know you're probably going to say top line again, but Morton's made a couple lines work here and there here in this track in the past.
And something that I'm curious about, you saw J.R. Shepard do this, was, oh, Kenny beat me on the restart there. I'll just try to cross him over then. So there's a few sneaky things that you can try to figure out here. It just depends on your car's drivability. This late in the race, we're coming to 40 to go here, so that means that you're 60 laps on these rubber tires. So how does your car perform now? I know mine at this point in the race probably wouldn't be looking all that good for a crossover move.
And here's an interesting thing. Steven Spies is out to 8th after using his faster pair early on in this race. He's coming through the field and quickly in the Gambler Motorsports car.
Impressive. And right behind him is Adam Gebel. He had an issue earlier on in this race, or I mean, really, it wasn't all that long ago, and he's moved himself inside the top 10 as well. But I was actually talking about Spies a little bit earlier. He was doing the Dirt Street Stock Series a lot, and midway through last year decided to join up here in the Grand National Series. Ran well at the tail end of last season, but still trying to find his rhythm here in a full season.
Want to go signal again to reset your top 8. It's Kibbe and Morton, Shepard and Lowe, Bulky and Dean, Tace and Spies. Again, Spies in the provisional pole slot. It was to finish the way this is right now. 41 laps to go. Green flag is out. Off and away is Kibbe. A good launch. Morton with a terrible start.
J.R. Shepard says, thank you. I'm just going to come to the inside right here, door to door. But we have seen, of course, it's not that easy of a pass because that outside lane can be moving. Shepard still battling for second here, able to get a nose here, but off of exit, that 9 car maybe a little bit loose there, but still has that forward momentum.
First shot machine trying to wheel it right next to the yellow line as up the track as Morton nearly kicks it out. Caution, Todd Liston.
I hate seeing Todd Liston in that 87 car spin around. He's had a couple of shiny moments this season as well. I thought we were going to get a caution before that because James Lowe was right on the rear bumper of J.R. Shepard. They were getting a little bit rowdy up in front. So your replay machine here looks like might have had some contact with Harden there. That's the only way I could think that that car whip around like that. Great job by everyone, though, in the back of the pack there. No one else touches him.
Take a look. Once again, this is coming to the green start. You see the flashballs. Way too deep.
All it takes is a tap, especially in these Grand National Series cars. That's all it takes.
Remember, there are penalties for over-aggressive driving as well as essentially spinning in our car and for avoiding contact, as well as wrecking in our car. There were 2 drivers who had penalties tonight. Both, however, did not make a start. Chris Davis, if he was to start, was to get a warning, lose 5 points, start at the end of the longest line. Bobby Rafferty had also received a warning for penalties. He also, as mentioned, did not start tonight's race for the Jim Beaver Esports machines. His teammate tonight in Todd Liston in this series, a bit of a rough one, is now 18th and has now, I believe, used the fast repair on his car. Keep in mind that the final runs of the race for the modifieds earlier tonight essentially were quick sprints. If it gets that point, Devin, are you concerned?
Yes, very much so, because there's only one thing that cautions breed, Justin, and that's more cautions. And we saw right there, James Lowe almost got to the back of Shepard. It wasn't anything intentional. But every restart, there is a higher probability that something like that will happen. And let's say second and third, say, tangle with their bumpers a little bit. That can change everybody's race. And if there's just little quick spurts, you're not running through the field very quickly.
So in our words, who do you feel has the best chances here to try and do something? Especially, I know we keep on hitting this drum over and over, but somebody has to make the pass.
You would think so, but man, Kenny Kibbe, I mean, he's driving like Ryan Newman out there, right? You just can't pass the man. It doesn't matter where they seem to go, inside, outside, almost to the bumper already now, but Kenny Kibbe has fought off, I mean, essentially this entire top 5 almost in both lanes. So you're going to have to try something creative or just find a way to have more tires than him when you eventually get that opportunity.
To go once more, it's Ruben Altis who's now in that P8 position. It's one of the few minor changes in the running order. A couple drivers have swapped positions in the rows, not specifically in where they are in terms of row placement, so to speak. Green flags out, back and away. Kibbe with a good launch, Morton a better launch.
Still, Justin just cannot seem to get off of that line starting on the front row. And once again, under attack from J.R. Shepard, able to use that outside to hold him back just enough to keep that second position. But once again, door-to-door for second, Kenny Kibbe trying to pull away.
Morton really handing out the left rear in the back end of the race car throughout 1 and 2 that time. Finally gets himself clear. Here comes James Lowe for the battle for third.
He started outside the top 10, had a very slow trek up through the field, but finally now in the top 4, trying to find a way around these two, but now Morton and Shepard once again duking it out. We saw Morton pass Shepard on the outside about a handful, 10-15 laps ago now, but Shepard now trying to use that inside to his advantage and take away P2.
Slide up now for Morton as he nearly snaps into the wall that time down the front stretch.
Boy, Kenny Kibbe is loving the show in his rear view mirror, right, Justin? Now running away. Almost 3/4 of a second lead now for Kibbe.
Lost about 2/10 in the corner, but he's been quicker on the exits. It's a now 8/10 of a second to lead, but Shepard is clear for second. He's clear Justin Morton down the straightaway with 30 laps to go.
Oh, Morton a little bit out of shape out of turn number 2. That outside lane just isn't working like it did earlier in the race for that number 9 machine. Seems to just be a little bit extra loose. And how about Brian Dean? In 5th place, he started up front. He has maintained his position up front, and now he has a chance to fight his way into the top 4.
Very smooth on his throttle inputs and has been backing up the corners as all these cars have been scrapping as they've been continuing to run side by side for several laps. Dean's been running single file. He might have something for these cars as he now dives his way for P4. Low, just about clear for 3rd, gets it. Dean's still waiting for his right chance to dive underneath and follow the hole.
And Morton is just a little too much out of shape. He might be run out of right rear because that outside lane, that was really working for him earlier, and it just isn't anymore. Able to finally fall into a line, though, but slides all the way back to 4th. But Justin, you know how we talked about earlier this year? J.R. Shepherd, there's some sort of random little switch somewhere in that car, and he just flips it on and there's nitrous. Or actually, no, he just flips the switch and he goes, actually. We just saw that moment when he passed Justin Morton. He's already gained over a 10th on Kenny Gibby.
Caution is out. And that will close up the rest of the attempt. It's Austin Belke from the top 8.
Boy, that one hurts. Belke was having such a great night. Started on pole, led some laps, hung in there on the top 5. Here's a look back on your GSRC replay machine. Might have had some contact there with Steven Spies, and that right there might have hurt the suspension.
Just maybe some scrapes, at least cosmetically, but these Spies, they followed dot to dot, and Spies just pushed up the track.
Yeah, that's a tough one there. Spies, they're just, I mean, there's a variety of things that can be. I mean, as a driver sometimes, when you are on 75 lap old tires, you don't always know how that car is going to run going into turn 1 there, and obviously the car got out of his control and pushed up the track, and boy, that one just stinks for Austin Belke.
That was Adam Gebel, by the way, who hit him in the side in the 91 machine, who has yet to use his faster pair, by the way, but here's the other insult to injury. He has to take the wave to stay on the lead lap. If he tries to come in and fix the car, well, it takes him right out of contention for this race unless he gets an air quick caution to get a lucky dog.
Yeah, there's just no choice you can have here. I mean, hopefully there's nothing wrong with that suspension, but when it comes to the 87 and the ARCA cars especially, if someone gets you square in the left front or right front tires, it very oftentimes will kick your steering out of alignment. Under caution, he looks okay, so hopefully for Belke, there's nothing wrong with that steering.
Top 4 points, by the way, are in the top 4. The other car we mentioned, Adam Gebel, is up to 7. Believe it or not, after his spins earlier, his car completely crushed.
Hey man, we're short track racing. You don't need any drafting or anything. It's almost like those dirt street stocks. All those fenders, those are just cosmetics. You know what? Sometimes the lighter the car, the faster, right? Just take all the sheet metal off. Come on.
I think we've seen that play out once in real life, maybe twice.
So you're telling me it's possible?
Do we have any duct tape to tape on the numbers?
There we go, right? I've seen some on Trading Paints, actually. We might be able to bring one of those out for Gebel's next race.
20 minutes to go. This time expecting the one to go signal. It looks like Belke's going to elect to take the wave as Kibby, Shepherd, Lowe, Morton, Dean, Spies, Gebel all teach your top 8. Bull, Jewel, Chris Wolfson, Bruce Pearson, Mike Holloway, Arden, Segala, Liston, Allen, Smith. Current top 17, Belke 18th now. The last car on the lead lap, Donnie Moore, the only driver not on track, did not start this race. 20 laps to decide it from Florida. Have to see how these drivers handle this fight. This could be a pivotal moment in the championship for some. Pace car off, green flag out. We're backing away. Good launch by Shepherd. Can he make it stick this time? No. Kenny shuts the door hard. Big send by Shepherd though in the corner. He's side by side. Shepherd keeps it there down the straight.
Gorgeous move. J.R. Shepherd threw it into turn 1, throws it into turn 3 as well. Side by side for the lead, side by side for third as well.
2 by 2 amongst the competitors as you see that now 2 by 2, 3 rows deep. 2x3 rather, as Shepard down the backstretch gets the pull. Kibbe trying to give the squeeze. He kicks out the back end. Contact with Shepard. Shepard holds on to it. Shepard takes the race lead as Kibbe drops back.
I am in absolute awe. What a save by Kenny Kibbe and J.R. Shepard. But what masterclass driving there from J.R. Shepard. A little bit of a pinch. It almost went wrong. But Shepard outdrives the field and now is trying to run away with this race with 17 to go.
Caution is out.
Well,
and
never
it's
mind.
a big one down the front stretch. Lowell Jewell, Todd Liston, several others.
Boy,
At
the
least,
bad luck crew.
yeah, 3-4 cars at least for the bad luck crew, indeed.
The boss man, Lowell Jewell. This is incident number 3 for the 19 car. Is there a 3 and out rule or something? No, I'm just kidding for the boss man there. We'll see what happens here on your replay machine. You see Holloway under the 19. Oh, it looks like Lowell Jewell might have got out of shape before they make contact there, but the contact is what makes the entire field stack up. Boy, that's a frustrating day for Lowell Jewell.
And then he had Todd Liston on top of that, nearly spin it right into the inside wall in victory lane. So there's that too. But this is not what I think Shepard wanted. Maybe is bunch back up the field for another chance to crack at him.
Boy, he threw up the sail. He was kicking back and cracking open a cold one. And, okay, we're going to stop now. So, he was sailing away. He was able to get a great pass there on Kenny Kibbe. That was just a gorgeous battle there. But now, Justin Morton, who before Shepard and Kibbe almost spun out, I thought was the loosest car on track. He may be the 3rd loosest car on track now. But we'll have to see. Morton has not had great restarts, though, here. So if Shepard can pull one on the number 9 car, he might be able to get a good runaway here on this restart.
Especially since this could be one of the final restarts. Not only are we getting close on the lap distance, we're getting close on time. If it becomes caution breeds cautions, we might be at a range where it might be tight. It came down to the final minutes before the start of practice for the Grand National Series race for the modifieds to take the checker.
And of course, we mentioned cautions breed cautions. But remember, here in BRL, there are no green-white checkered. So if we continue this trend of cautions that we've been having, we might just end this race under caution as well.
It's all important for the drivers to keep in mind here as 2 to go signal this time. So at this mark, who are some of the drivers you have been impressed by the most that we haven't really talked too much about, in your opinion?
Well, I think Steven Speed's coming back up through the field. That's been impressive. He's going to restart 6 here. We talked about Brian Dean staying in the top 5. Also, look at a guy like Mike Holloway. He's been involved in 2 incidents tonight. He is seen in 9th place now on the night. But I think the guy that stands out to me is James Lowe, because he has an opportunity to win this race. Maybe he was holding back at the start of the race. We mentioned he was just not coming through the field. Maybe he was just waiting, saving those tires for a moment like this, because now restarting 4th, he showed off his patience to win earlier this year. Can he do that again and pick up a W late in the season?
There's a reason some of the patience can be so critical for drivers, because it's points paying time. Coming up to the closing stages, 11 laps to decide it. Shepard on the gas, backing away, another poor launch from Morton. Kibbe trying to stay on the bottom side as Lowe keeps it up top of the battle for 3rd.
Justin Morton is lucky there that Kibbe did not get a better jump. Otherwise, the 14 would be right under the 9. Morton, though, staying in tow on the rear bumper of the Cruise Shop 98. So Morton trying to continue a battle here as Lowe is now making a move to the outside for 3rd.
10 laps to go as Lowe still trying to get clear of Kibbe. Morton trying to set it on up, it appears, in the TDR machine. Looking for his first victory of the season. Bit of a slide, kicks it out, loses half a tenth.
Leaving it all out on the racetrack, and you have to at this point. You mentioned Justin Morton. He's looking for his first win of the year. He's second, though, in the points.
Double spun around. Caution is out, and this could come down to about a 4 to 3 lap shootout.
Yeah, we are going to go back green. For how many laps is the question. I'll look back here. Ooh, it looks like he might have had to check up there, and the drivers behind him just had nowhere to go there.
This will... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is going to stack up the field again here, and this is not what Shepard wants to see. Yeah, a little bit of contact there from Holloway. I think what might have happened there is Gebel might have just got loose and had to check up, and there was nowhere to go.
I think that's exactly it. Yes, did get loose right in front of Holloway. Holloway in hand. So now the driver's taking 7 laps to go, and for Shepard, this is his chance to try and hold on. Your biggest mover after that is the principal. He's plus 10, Chris Wolfson. Biggest dropper, Belky.
And good to see the principal up here. We haven't seen him too much this year, but it's good to see when he finally comes and races. Chris Wolfson, hey, he's not doing too shabby right now, working himself in the top 10.
Yeah, this has been his cleanest race, in my opinion, where he hasn't been involved in too much incidents. He struggled at times with pace, yes, like the bull ring, where he was lapped a couple times. Tonight, though, it's been different. He seems to have been consistent with the main pack.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty well. The Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania guy. He's a principal at a middle school, so that's why we call him the principal. But, you know, we don't get to see him a lot. Able to see him tonight. Not too shabby so far. We'll see if he can bring home a top 10.
So at this mark, we're approaching 5 laps to go. We'll see how many laps we get. Depending on the signal here, it may come down to just a 2-lap shootout, which would be even more chaotic, to say the least.
And a major change between these restarts, Justin, is James Lowe will restart on the inside this time.
How do you think he's going to be able to try and attack Shepard here with very limited time here?
Well, I think the first thing that you have to do is attack Justin Morton. He just hasn't been able to launch on restarts. If he can just get to that left rear quarter panel, as Morton, yeah, I think he got to the wall there trying to follow J.R. Shepard. They have fun in this series, I think. But for Lowe, if you just clamp onto that left rear quarter panel, you'll probably have Justin Morton there, and you can set your sights on J.R. Shepard. Now, is there enough time? I don't know. I mean, it's J.R. Shepard, but there's a chance. If you just get onto the 9 cars quarter panel fast enough, there's a chance.
Point in return just crossed. 3 laps to go to decide it. Shepard, Morton, Kibbe, and Lowe, your top 4. The question is, which driver will take the checkered flag for New Smyrna Speedway? We're about to find out on the Global SimRacing channel. Pace car off. Green flag out. We're backing away. Shepard with a brilliant launch. Lowe thinking about a poke to the inside for Morton for second.
Lowe got enough of a jump, not going to have the momentum though off the corner. Morton able to hold him off, and now Kibbe trying to make the pass as well. Closing laps here, Justin Morton can't make any room on the outside, and the Crew Shop 98 is pulling away.
Gain half a 1/10 of a second, another 10th rather. Contact behind, Pearson up in the fence. Kurt Smith spinning, caution is out. J.R. Shepard will take the caution of the white.
Boy, an exhilarating finish there in the middle of the pack. You hate to see that happen, but hey, J.R. Shepard held them all off, and just once J.R. Shepard flipped that switch, Justin, no one had anything for that Crew Shop 98.
For J.R. Shepard, it would be his 6th victory of the season. His average finish is 1st. His average start is, well, your inversion spot for your race winner. For J.R. Shepard, he does it again. He wins the BRL's Grand National Series. Morton second, Kibbe, Lowe speeds the top 5.
James Lowe just did not have enough to keep up with Morton, and he actually falls out of the podium position as well there. James Lowe tried to give it all that he could, but ends up losing a spot there in that final restart.
Impressive race for J.R. Shepard once more. As the drivers will say, congratulations. Celebration can't start, by the way, until the iRacing pace car is off the circuit. Gets to be able to burn it down. The Global SimRacing channel. as he goes for his signature burnouts. Take a listen in and step aside. Post-race celebrations underway, post-race coverage in just a few moments. You're watching the Global Sim Racing channel for the BRL's Grand National Series. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel's coverage of the BRL's Grand National Series for the virtual new Smyrna Speedway. Justin Prince, alongside Devin Henry with Sean Ambrose in the director's seat for what was an intriguing one, to say the very least. Once again, today's race presented by the Cruise Shop and Motorsports Drop. As we take a look at your race results, again, it is Shepard who takes the checker flag over Justin Morning, Kenny Kibbe, and James Lowe. For Shepard, it's another one on the calendar. It's his 6th of the season. Speeds finishes in 5th after an incident early on, a recovery drive from 14th to 5th starting position. Brian Dean finishes in 6th with Urban Alt Season 7. Mike Hallway in the inversion spot for the pole for next week's race. Chris Wolfson, Jeffrey Harding, your top 10.
Austin Belke had a good one going, but loses spots towards the end. He finishes 11th. Joe Segala in 12th. Bruce Pearson finishes the night in 13th. Mike Allen in 14th. Todd Liston in 15th. Adam Gebel, he was up, down, finishes in 16th. Kurt Smith in 17th. Lowell Jewell in 18th. And Donnie Moore rounds out your 19-car field here at New Smyrna.
Lots of celebrations taking place, including one for J.R. Shepard. It's another victory in the books. J.R., it's your 6th of the season. How did you do it this time?
Not easy. This track at New Smyrna is extremely hard to pass. The bottom's kind of got less camber than the rest of the corner, and it closes up on exit. So the outside was definitely the preferred line, and I knew I had a shot when I was on the outside of Kenny on those restarts, but he kept getting such a good restart. I didn't think I was going to be able to get to him, and he gave me just enough room that I was able to get to the outside of him. I think that made the difference.
It was to the point where you guys both nearly spun out. I'm not sure if you realize this. Kibbe actually kicked out when you officially made the pass for the lead, and actually nearly hooked the right rear into your left rear and nearly spun you both around. Both of you saved it. What was kind of the moments the feelings at the moment where it's like, oh, hey, I'm in the lead. We almost crashed though.
Yeah, we were talking about it after the race there. It's fun to have that kind of light contact and nobody wreck. So I saw him going a little bit hard, and I saw him start to move up the track, and I was trying to open the wheel and move up myself, and he got me just a little bit, and yeah, we were both having to correct it there, but I think it just goes to show the kind of drivers that are in this league. We're able to race each other hard, but we're able to hang on to it too, so it's a lot of fun.
We've talked already about some of the championship scrapping and how you've had to claw your way forward. For you now, though, 2 races left. Lanier Raceplex is the next date. Then it's South Boston. Your thoughts on the next one on the calendar, Lanier?
Yeah, I like Lanier. In the past, it's been a pretty good track, but it's extremely hard, not for the front tires, but to save the rear tires there. So going to be a lot of tire saving going on, and we'll go there and see what we can do. I'm not really racing for the championship. I know I'm enough points out that I'm finished, but I'm trying to race these guys that are racing for it clean, and it gets a little tense sometimes, but I'm trying to keep it clean.
318 points on the season, by the way, for reference. Kenny Kibbe, 345. Justin Morton, 338. James Lowe, 330. On that note, anyone you want to thank for your run tonight?
Yeah, again, thank the Bootleg Racing League for allowing us to do this on Fridays and Saturday nights. So it's a lot of fun, and I think we put on a pretty good show for the fans and showed what kind of drivers we have in this league. So it's a lot of fun doing it, and big thanks to the crew shop for being on board this year, for being on the car, and thanks to them and the Motorsports Drop for sponsoring this series. It's great to have good partners like that, and hopefully we can get some more in the future. Appreciate it, guys.
Congratulations on the victory. By the way, 27 points is that number, which it's still mathematically possible. Could be difficult. J.R. Shepard, your winner. Justin Morton comes home second. He's with Devin.
Well, Justin, you guys went back and forth with J.R. Shepard. I think everyone was getting loose and losing their tires a little bit there, but how do you manage to keep that car straight when it looked like all you guys in the top 5 were struggling with that a little bit towards the end?
Yeah, it was definitely a struggle the entire race. It really wanted to snap off 4. It was basically doing a lot of throttle management off of 4 to make sure it didn't kick around. And I think most of us did a pretty good job of doing that.
Kibbe's going by you. You're going by Kibbe. Same thing with JR. James Lowe's coming into the conversation as well. Take me through some of the battles up front. I mean, you guys were just swapping positions left and right throughout that race.
Yeah, it was all over the place. At the start of the race, I was having problems trying to get by Ruben, so I let Kenny by, see if he could do anything, and that worked out for me. I got by Ruben also. Yeah, it was just a constant battle with those bunch of guys, and yeah, that was a fun race.
Hey, it was fun to watch. Unfortunately, coming home in second. I know you want that victory, but still a great finish here at New Smyrna. Who do you have to thank for taking home a second place finish tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank my team, Total Downforce Racing. It's a great group of guys. Thanks, Pixeldust, for the amazing paint. Lowell for running this great league. It's probably my favorite league I've ever run in. Crew Shop for sponsoring us, and Chris Leone's Motorsports Drop for also joining us. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
Well, we have a good time when you guys race like that. Justin Morton coming home in second. Justin, congrats, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Of course, a fun one to watch for everyone, but now we will be joined by the third-place driver. Justin Prince has caught up with Kenny Kibbe.
Yes, indeed. Your points leader entering tonight. Your points leader exiting by 7 points. Kenny, an intriguing and exciting battle between you and J.R. Shepard and Justin Morton throughout the night for the race lead. Talk us through it from your perspective and what looked to be a crazy one with a couple saves to boot in that.
Yeah, just beginning there trying to, make my way through the field, but you had to be really calculating with your passes because if you did not get it done on the bottom in a couple corners, there was a good chance that you were going to get freight trained on the high side. So tried to be calculating, pick my way through the field. So once we got up into the lead, it was big advantage for me being the control car, and so everything went pretty much perfect until about lap 80 there, and I had a decent restart with JR on the high side, and but I should have taken the top lane away from him in turn 1, but I didn't, and gave him the top, and he drove it in really deep, and he stayed on my quarter panel, and that was kind of the beginning of the end. And I drove really hard trying to fight him off, and the way I had my brake bias set up all the way to the rear of the car, so braking extra hard like that on worn tires just really, with no grip, just was really hard to do. And at one time I got on the brakes too hard, got loose, and nearly took us both out, but thank goodness we were able to save it and keep going and recover for third. But just basically ran 3/4 of a perfect race, just couldn't finish it off.
What makes tracks such as this so difficult compared to, say, the usual get to the bottom, trying to defend up on the top? Because a lot of these tracks are towards that trend. Tonight, it was the trend of get to the top, you make the pass.
Yeah, so this place, it's got really tight corners and kind of a progressive kind of banking, and the real racing line is kind of running either middle to high or middle to high and diamonding off. And so, you get a good run on somebody and they're going to try to take that top line, but so you're forced to make a pass on the bottom, but now on the bottom, you have to hit the brakes a lot harder and you just get no drive off. And you get this huge run down the straights when you run the top side. So it kind of come down to that. I mean, you could pass on the bottom, but boy, was it tough to do. And it's just kind of a different dynamic here at New Smyrna.
The near Raceplex is the next race on the calendar, and that place is also going to be very tight. Let's put it that way. Your thoughts on that one?
I think we'll be decent, like we have been this year. We just need to keep running consistently. That's going to get us a championship. So if we can keep getting these podiums, top fives, I think we should be fine. Keep it clean, and hopefully not come so close to spinning out and killing our race so early like we did tonight. Hopefully we can have a nice little, I don't want to say quite as eventful as this week, but it sure was fun this week, but probably made good TV. But hopefully we can have a good clean race and just bring her home in a good spot.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
Well, everybody at the Bootleg Racing League and the Motorsports Drop for them sponsoring us, and to JR and Justin, and also James racing up front basically all night in all 3 series tonight. So really fun with them guys all night, as it is every single week. And to Global SimRacing channel for the broadcasts every week, and everybody who likes to tune into those.
Congratulations on the run tonight.
Thank you.
Steven, that's Kenny Kibbe, rather, coming home in P3. I'd like to thank him, Justin Bourne, and J.R. Shepard taking the time to speak with us. Post-race coverage for the BRL's Grand National Series. Now, Devin, your quick thoughts on this one after an eventful one, to say the very least, especially with a mix of 9 cautions for 41 caution laps, but 2 very exciting lead changes.
And we got to a degree what we expected. First of all, from the SK Modified race, there were cautions, but also just these drivers duking it out. Those top 5 almost the entire race were able to really battle it out. And hey, if this was 125 laps, maybe you even would have had Steven Spies in there battling as well. You were DSRC Hard Charger tonight, going from 14th to 5th in this race. So a great run from him, and man, I tell you what, short track racing like this, that gets me excited about BRL.
And the next race is going to be exciting, to say the very least, to see how the drivers respond, as well as who can come on top, especially since it basically is the chance to make it a 3-driver scrap. If any bad luck happens for any of your top 3, specifically the entire top 3, it opens up the floodgates. But I'd like to thank you for tuning into tonight's exciting race once more from the virtual New Smyrna Speedway. I'd also like to thank the sponsors once more, the Cruise Shop and Motorsports Drop, for their support of this series. I'd also like to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for our broadcast now listed up on screen. Additional thanks to Jude LaWarner provides her wonderful music. Screen for how to get a hold of more for great work. Thanks to the team once again today, and Devin and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, its upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storyvy.com, or check out social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook, the Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well as the notification bell. So it's a moment. GSRC. As you just seen right there, Lanier Raceplex is up next on December the 12th. That is expected to be a competitive one, to say the very least, after what was a competitive one for New Smyrna Speedway. It's expected to be one where tight battling and potentially tight contact come into play. Find out who comes away with the checkered flag. Green flags approximately at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Coverage starts at approximately 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's have upcoming races for other series listed up on screen. So be sure to check those out and mark them down your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.